everybody? My name is Chadarak, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite games coming out this year in 2016. There's a lot of games I'm excited about, but I thought I wanted to do one of these videos, and the thing about them is that I could just tally off I'm excited for this, and this, but because I wanted to do more vlogs in channels for this year, because it seems like a lot of people like them, and actually, for the most part, in our small little community we have going here, a lot of people like the vlogs. So I plan on doing more of them. So for the first grand one of the year, I'm gonna go ahead and start a series on my top favorite games of 2016. So that being said, what I've decided to do is kind of split it up. So my top games of 2016 is going to be split up into 2 and maybe even 3 parts, because I kind of think I want to do one for just the indie games. I'm not really 100% sure yet how I'm going to do that, because there's a lot of indie games coming out too this year that I'm really excited about, that I don't really think I can consider to be like AAA games. But it's very hard because some of the indie games are so well made now and so good that sometimes they end up being like AAA games. So I decided not to confuse myself, so I'm just sticking to the list I have for today, and I'm just gonna go with that until people say what they want me to do. So for this first video is going to be the games 6 through 10 that I'm excited about out of my top 10 games of 2016, and I'm gonna throw in two bonuses. So I'll actually go ahead and do those first. I mean, it's not really realistically, it's not in any kind of order, but I'll just go ahead and just kind of go through them anyway, because the main reason I wanted to split them up into 2 parts is so that I could actually kind of talk a little bit about the games themselves, rather than just be like, oh, I'm excited for this, because it looks cool. Alright, now the next game. That game looks just as cool. So I really wanted to be able to talk about them kind of in a little bit of detail. Not too much, because for some of them there's not a whole lot of content out on them. So let's go ahead and start with the bonus round. For my bonus game coming out this year, I am a huge fanboy of the Samurai Warriors and Dynasty Warriors games, and more so the Samurai Warriors game, because realistically that's probably my favorite culture. I would love to be able to go to Japan one day. I absolutely am in love with the land of the rising sun. I think the culture is very neat. I've always loved things involving samurai and things like that. So I really am excited for anything that they do, and particularly out of the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors series, because what they always tend to do is they tend to make their regular game, and then they'll make one called Extreme Legends, which is sort of like added content to the regular game that they release separately, and then they do an Empires game. And the Empires game has always been my favorite, because you basically start off on a map grid, and it's really neat, because that game type has always supported creating your own characters, and I absolutely am in love with games that let me make my own character. I always tend to make the same characters in the games, but that's just because I've had the same character that I've used for my entire gaming career. So it's really nice being able to integrate myself into a game, putting myself into the game's culture. I absolutely love being able to do that. But at the same time, I also do when the games have set in heroes, like Geralt of Rivia, or Big Boss, things like that. So I'm very excited about Samurai Warriors 4 Empires, especially since it'll be on PS4. It'll be a nice game to play, because I tend to find myself having a hard time as of right now being able to play games on PC, because my computer is constantly doing things for the channel, and it makes it very difficult to play anything on PC anymore. But the runner-up for the bonus round is a game called Wild, and if you haven't heard about Wild, it's because there's not a whole lot of content on it out, at least not to my knowledge, but it's a fascinating game. It's going to be on PlayStation 4, and what this game is you play as a tribal shaman, and it seems to be an incredibly interesting just project, because basically I think it's going to end up being a third person sort of I don't know about open world, but it'll be an open area kind of adventure game, and you literally have to use the animals around you to solve problems. So in the trailer they showed at Sony Experience, it premiered the shaman actually using his power to channel into like an eagle's eye vision to find a what was he trying to? Oh, he wanted to find a snake. So the eagle went down and grabbed the snake, and then while that was happening, he had to go to this specific like altar. So he ran into a bunch of cannibals, and obviously shamans aren't known for their fighting. So what he did was he freaking became a bear and just attacked everybody. It was incredible. And then he took the snake to this altar and spoke to like the spirit of the snakes, and that's where it ended up being where the trailer ended. But it seemed like a fascinating concept and like a great idea for a game. So that's my bonus round game. So let's go with number 10. Number 10, I'm super duper excited about, and that's Pokken Tournament, because I have loved Pokemon ever since I got it for like the very first time back in like 1996 or 97, whatever it was. And I've just been in love with the franchise ever since. Get every single game. Not so much like the off-spin ones, but like the main games for the Nintendo 3DS and the DS, things like that. And this is cool because it takes the battle scenario, sort of twists it on its head, and it's really really cool to see it do that. And honestly, the gameplay mechanic is fascinating. It's getting its own pro controller as well for like $30 or something like that. So that'll be interesting to use that as well. But also it'll be cool to see all these Pokemon kind of go head to head in combat that you don't get out of the regular game. So I'm very very excited to see that. And because I think they're also doing like the amiibo cards for that as well. And the amiibos are always pretty cool things. Just because I like their idea of amiibo. Just because it's like, it's DLC, but you also get a nice little collectible at the same time. So I really like amiibos a lot. And number 9 is Hitman. And Hitman, I was absolutely in love with Hitman when I first saw it, but now I'm even more excited about it because they recently announced that Hitman was changing to be an episodic game as opposed to just one base game. And I normally don't like when games are episodic just because I have horrible patience. So I always try to wait for everything to come out, and then that way I can just kind of boom 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 boom. But I actually think Hitman is going to benefit quite a lot from becoming episodic because of the fact that the game is boasting quite a bit of content, because there's a couple of different maps you can go to across the span of the game, and they're boasting something like either 400 or 800 contracts outside of the main story, which is really really unique. And it's cool because in any Hitman game, of course, you have so many ways of being able to play the levels. You can go in guns a-blazing if that's what you want to. If you truly want to be stealth, you can never be seen. And it's one of those few games that there's not a whole lot of games that I do this for, but it's one of the games. The Witcher was another one where sometimes I just felt like walking, because there are a lot of games when I played through a game Dark Souls, or one of these more kind of action-packed games. I normally am running to where I need to go. But in games like The Witcher, Skyrim, things like that, sometimes I just like to walk and be able to take in everything that's happening, especially when I'm an assassin, because then you literally can see everything around you. So being that it's episodic, I think that'll really give the team time to really really truly patch down every single episode as it comes out. So it's neat, and it's cool that they're giving players an option, instead of if you don't want to buy the game for $60 at the time, they're offering it through a means of where you can only get it for $15 or something like that if you really want to. So it's neat that they're offering people chances to play it like that. So that I do like. And speaking of Dark Souls, I'm very very excited for Dark Souls 3. It comes out in April this year, and I'm very 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 excited about it because the first Dark Souls game technically I did play Demon Souls for all of an hour, but Dark Souls 2 was actually one of the first videos I did on the channel, and I was horrible at it. I was so bad, it couldn't even be compared. And then actually someone through the channel got me a copy of Dark Souls 1, and I actually like Dark Souls 1 a lot more than Dark Souls 2, and a lot of people have told me that is a common thing, to like Dark Souls 2 a lot less than Dark Souls 1, because the main director of the game, pretty much the head honcho, he kind of wasn't really 100% involved in the creation of Dark Souls 2, and but I still I loved Bloodborne. I absolutely freaking loved Bloodborne. That was the very first video I did on the channel, and I beat the whole story game. Like, I started another like story mode on my own. Like, I absolutely love the game. And what I like about Dark Souls 3 is that Dark Souls 3 is sort of taking Bloodborne elements and like merging them and twisting them with the Dark Souls formula, which is really cool. So like the very first time they showed the trailer, I was thoroughly impressed, and I was really excited to play the game. So I'm very excited for that. It looks beautiful. I think that the speed of the game is finally where I want it to be, because it looks more like that Bloodborne speed than necessarily like the kind of like Dark Souls and like Demon Souls speed, which is an A+ for me. I don't know how I can say about like the hardcore like Dark Souls fans, but I'm excited for it. Number 7 is sort of a tie, because they kind of are in the same element, because I wanted to say The Witcher 3's new DLC, Blood and Wine, but I also wanted to have Dying Light, The Following, and I kind of decided I would make it both, because they're both DLC for a base game. So I kind of was like, I don't know if I could really say it, but both games, they're made by my two favorite developers in the market right now, because of the fact of how aware they are of like player feeling. Their DLC distribution is incredible. They really have very few things to complain about. I mean, obviously, you know, CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 3, they won Game of the Year almost across the board with pretty much like everybody. So they did an amazing job, and they're boasting that Blood and Wine is going to be better than their original game. So that's a pretty big call. But not to mention the fact that, unlike the main game, the Blood and Wine takes place in this beautiful, very like radiant and bright colored countryside. So I'm excited for that as well. And then of course, Dying Light was my favorite cooperative game of 2015. So being that they made an expansion on it with vehicles, weaponized vehicles at that, I'm super duper excited. I really am. If I can try to do that, I want to do that as a series. Like, but it won't be like co-op, because I honestly don't know anybody that I could play it with. But I do want to play The Following on the channel, just because I wanted to go back with Dying Light and play it on the channel. But I felt like the same thing with Far Cry 4. Actually, I kind of felt like by that time I got around to like really establishing the channel, and for what I can pass off as knowing what I'm doing, like to my ability to do it. I really want to do both of them, and I kind of felt like I couldn't do them, and I don't know. So I kind of felt like it was off to do it. But I do want to do an episode on The Following, just because it's freaking beautiful. Techland is just freaking awesome. They did a really good job with their game series as well, as far as like making proper content and always kind of giving back to their game community as well. So I'm a really big fan of them and their work. It's just incredible. Not to mention that it's probably the best zombie game I ever played, because I really wasn't too into Dead Island when that came out. By the time I got around to playing Dead Island, a lot of the people that I knew that had already played it were long and gone past it, so I never got to really play it with anybody, and it kind of took the fun out of it. But in Dying Light, I had a ton of fun, even if I was playing on my own. The physics in the game were amazing. The zip line was freaking awesome. The weapons were awesome. The hidden stuff was really cool. I played out the entire game with Excalibur. Like, it was really neat. So that's why number 7 had to be a tie for me between the two like DLC contents, because they could have been their own games, but it was easier to put it in through those two. And then the last game I'll talk about for today is Far Cry Primal, because a lot of people that I know are kind of giving crap to Far Cry for this game coming out. I, on the other hand, am super duper excited, because I really have liked the Far Cry games. Like 3 and 4 and Blood Dragon were really good. They were really awesome. The action was just non-stop. The stories I thought were pretty good, and it was just very fun, even in co-op. And I really like that style a whole lot, but at the same time, I sort of missed the original like Far Cry scenario. Like, I don't know, I feel like Far Cry Primal will very much so get players back into like that true like sort of like stealth element, and the fact that you can like get creatures and tame them, I think is really neat. Plus, there hasn't been a lot of games that have tried to hit that like prehistoric storyline, at least not to my knowledge. So I mean, it's Ubisoft handling this, so like the game's graphics are absolutely stunning. They're beautiful. I think Far Cry, probably with The Witcher, boasts the best fur I've ever seen in a video game. Especially if you have, you know, the NVIDIA Hairworks and like all that kind of jazz going on. It's just beautiful. So being that it's in that prehistoric element, I'm very excited to see how they decide to twist mechanics around and like really how they decide to pave the way for your character. And same thing with like the story, you know. They very much can do whatever they want to because it's in prehistoric times. I really am hoping there's dinosaurs in it, even if it's just one dinosaur. Because I know, like they said, like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, dinosaurs were before mankind. But that would be awesome to just like, you know, come into like this cave and for whatever reason, like maybe I don't know, maybe it's like caught in ice and something, and like, you know, it melts out. That'd be fascinating to me. That's just me. But so those are my. They were supposed to be numbers 6 through 10, but it sort of ended up being like 6 through 13 because of all the things I talked about. But that's like, you know, that's the first good little chunk of the games that I'm excited about coming up this year. There's a whole lot more, honestly. And if I had more release dates on some things, there'd be a lot more things like that. Because that was what I kind of decided to do. Is just use stuff that had like actual release dates on it. There are a few exceptions. So like ones that didn't make the list because they really don't have like a true date yet. Are like, you know, games like Recore, you know, like Shadow Warrior 2 was shown off. I'm trying to think of another example. Like Outlast 2 is supposed to come out this year, but it's not, like, it doesn't have a physical date. So there are a lot more games I'm excited for, but these were like the main ones I decided to go with. So let me know what you guys think about my favorite games, and tell me what your favorite games are, so we can talk about it. We really need. I'd love to know what kind of games you guys want, and if there's any kind of games, whether it's like these games coming out or games in general that you guys think I should play on the channel, please let me know with a comment or just message me with it. And I'm really glad that people wanted me to do this video, because it is nice to kind of just have me just like talk about games. It is, because I love video games. I'm fascinated with them. They've been with me since I was little. And you know, I want to die playing them at some point, you know? I just absolutely am in love with the games, but I also am in love with the fact that now I can have, even if we are a small community, just a community to talk to about it is really cool. And I can't thank enough people that come and visit the channel for that. Even if it's a one and done kind of scenario, any visit to me is a good visit. So thank you guys very much, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked this vlog, hit the like button and comment to me what your favorite games are coming out this year, if not your favorite game coming out this year. And also give me ideas for games to play on the channel as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot and raises my confidence as well. So if you guys want to see other things that I've done, you can check out the annotation popping up here in a minute. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye!